Daisha Lacey did not commit a criminal act of neglect that resulted in her 2-month-old baby's death.
Court accordingly enters judgment of not guilty, reluctantly.
Let me explain.
This video is brought to you by Incogni.com, Incogni.com. Ladies and gentlemen, just so you know, in case you haven't been aware, that your information is being sold and published online. Incogni sends on your behalf data protection law compliant requests to have companies remove all of your information off of their websites so that they cannot sell your information. So Incogni does all of that, and they give you this really cool dashboard. And so I didn't want my personal information to accidentally show up on the screen or anything like that. So I'm using my video editor's Incogni account. And I want you to see, this is 48 in progress, 78 have already been completed, saved him 58 hours of him trying to do the request himself, and 30 companies have been on the list that they can never recollect your information again. And I want you to imagine, this is how much that is done for my video editor. My stuff is like 20 times what has been done on this piece of paper or this particular dashboard. So it is incredible for taking your information offline. You can see your dashboard right there that it is doing great progress. It's very easy, very effective. All you got to do is go to Incogni.com/Tatum, put in code Tatum, and get 60% off your annual plan. So go do it now. Get your information off the internet. Like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell to get notification. Anytime I go live, make a video, y'all already know what to do. Let's get into this.
Ladies and gentlemen, Daisha, I think her name is Daisha Lacey. Now, the controversy when I first saw this video was insane. I said, how does a woman admit to killing her kid, neglecting her child, and then getting out of prison? She really not get out of prison, but she was found not guilty. And so I initially was outraged, but I always, because I tell you guys every single time, I always take a step and say, if it sounds too juicy, you need to look up the totality of what happened. I find it very hard, difficult that a judge would see that a woman has knowingly committed a crime against her child and let her out. Now, with the fact that she's black in the modern society that we live in, where they coddle black people and they can kill each other and kill people, and they let them off and feel sorry for them, I almost fell for that theology when it comes to this. But I want you to listen to this news report because I think it's very telling. And then I'm going to explain to you why the judge made the right decision, although the decision is crazy. Roll the clip.
Ruled within the last hour that Daisha Lacey did not commit a criminal act of neglect that resulted in her 2-month-old baby's death. Lacey allegedly admitted in a police interview that she smothered her child while she was high on meth and tired. She allegedly put a pillow on the baby's face to make her stop crying. Lacey's other daughter, who was only 3 at the time, testified that she saw her mom put a pillow on her baby's face. But there was no medical or physical evidence presented at trial to show that the baby was smothered or that she died from suffocation. The judge said that the charges were not appropriate in this case.
Court accordingly enters judgment of not guilty, reluctantly. I do hope that you will take the opportunity to get the counseling that you need, to get the counseling for the children that you need, that you learn from this behavior, and hopefully the rest of the community learns from this behavior, that you cannot go out and party on the weekend and be with children. May not have been a safe place to go.
Toxicology report did show meth in Daisha Lacey's system, but Judge Mark Stoner said if she had been charged with reckless homicide or involuntary manslaughter, he could have found her guilty, but she's not guilty of neglect of the dependent resulting in death.
I don't know all the nuances to the case, but what happens in trial is that people can charge the wrong things, and if the statute doesn't fit, they must acquit. Unfortunately, which I don't really see how the statute didn't didn't match, which I think is why I say it's crazy. I don't know how you don't get charged with neglect if you're high on meth and you smother your kid. The other kid is a witness that you put the pillow over the kid's face to stop him from crying, and then you go out to party the weekend, leaving your kid to die. Now, the nuances of what happened in the case is that they didn't present any evidence that the kid died from suffocation. And then when it comes to neglect, there has to be a culpable mental state, which means that you have to knowingly or intentionally commit the act or the crime. So in this statute, I'm assuming, I didn't read it, but I know the law. I know how these things work. For him to end up letting her off as a judge, she must not have possessed the culpable mental state, or they weren't able to prove it, which means that because she was impaired with methamphetamine in her system, she didn't knowingly and intentionally, do the act of killing the kid. She was out of her mind. She couldn't have been cognizant enough to actually intentionally, knowingly commit that crime. Now, manslaughter doesn't require a culpable mental state. It simply means that your act resulted in the death of another person, although you didn't intend to kill that person. It doesn't have a culpable mental state attached to it. So that's why the judge said if she had been charged with reckless killing or manslaughter, whatever the charges were at the end of that video, he could have found her guilty. But the other charge, they couldn't find guilty because of the lack of evidence and because of, I would argue, the culpable mental state. And so a lot of people may not agree with it. They may get mad. I don't know. It ain't my fight. But I do think it initially was crazy. And I do think that there's an explanation, but it's crazy that this happened, because if it happened to a white person, they would be saying, see, they let white folks off all the time. This happened to a black woman and people aren't making a big deal about it. To me, this case is incredibly insane that a woman gets high on meth, smothered a kid, potentially runs out and go party the weekend and the baby is found dead. She admit to put the pillow over the baby head. But again, they didn't prove it in court that the baby died from asphyxiation or suffocation. So that's how trials are done differently. And that's why this particular situation wasn't so as egregious as one would think. Even though I think it's crazy, it wasn't as egregious. So I hope that it explained a little bit of this case. I hope that it give you a little bit of clarity. Insane, nonetheless. Comment in the comment section if you disagree or whatever the case may be. I'll see you on the next one. I'm out.